I've heard from a couple of my songwriter friends that actually they lock in a little better songwriting over Zoom because you can actually really focus.
It is crazy. Like I've written my best songs on Zoom for that exact reason. You don't have any distractions. And it's not like, oh, you can jam out in the room or oh, let me go get coffee. Oh, let me do this and have different conversations. It's strictly songwriting.
Or for
It's
me, it'd be, oh,
like,
there's the bottle of Jack. Should we do another shot of Jack? Should we maybe get the
yeah,
creative juices flowing with that a little bit? You're
yeah.
like,
It's
I
none
feel
of that.
healthier too.
It is no more of that. It's more like just write the song.
And so, what about recording? Is that weird for you? Like, do you like the songwriting Zoom aspect better than the recording aspect? Because I would think that would be kind of difficult.
Well, so what ends up happening? So I got a new computer and Logic and the whole system as my producer. And so basically what I'll do is you can share your screen and then she can basically work my whole Logic session remotely over in Nashville. And she's from Canada. My producer's from Canada. So even in Canada, we have recorded stuff via Zoom and it feels like she's just in another room,
Even
honestly.
up here where the polar bears live, we can record over Zoom, which is fantastic.
Yep. Yep. It's the craziest thing.
Do you feel like I feel? I don't know if you feel like this, but I'm only 32 and I feel like I'm 90 with all of this technology stuff I have to do during quarantine. And everybody else seems to be good at it. And I'm like, am I just behind?
It really, honestly, I'm starting to feel like really, really ancient. Like the kids these days are just on a whole other freaking atmosphere because I'm like stuck in the 90s, clearly.
Yes. I was like, I know how to download things off LimeWire and talk on MSN Messenger. But
Yeah. All this other stuff, I'm like, what is this? Like, where are my reading glasses? Like, so I can,
what
it's
else
so
have you been doing during quarantine? Have you picked up cooking? Are you running? What are
I
you
have
doing?
been baking a lot.
What's your
So
go-to thing?
I make really great chocolate chip cookies and apple crisp. I make really good apple crisp and lemon bars. I'm really good at lemon bars now. Like I've just been baking a lot.
So I got the bug, not because of quarantine, but because in quarantine there's nothing to watch, and we just are watching all of the Great British Baking Show. And so I'm
Oh,
like, maybe I can do some of that. And I made my first cheesecake the other day, and it was awesome.
see? Because there's literally either I'm watching real housewives reruns or I'm baking. It's one or the other.
That's my thing. Even 90 Day Fiance ran out of good new episodes, and I was like, what else do I?
There's nothing to watch. It's so sad.
I want to get back to that because I did see you watch something that I need a recommendation on, but I have to tell you this. So I'm scrolling through social media today, and I'm like, okay, a bunch of people I follow are posting the same hashtag, and I'm wondering where it came from. And I trace it back to you. And weirdly enough, I'm talking to you today, and it's the "What are you gonna tell her" hashtag. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. So what are you going to tell her? I wrote this song. It's called What Are You Going to Tell Her? And it's basically touching on the pandemic of the oppression of women. And, I've gotten a lot of attention because I've written a song called Black Like Me. And so I've taken this opportunity that now that people want to hear about my experiences as a Black woman, I want to make sure that people know that women in country music are getting severely oppressed and women in general are. It's still oppression feels like because I know what discrimination feels like. I can actively stand up and say white women are being oppressed and there's a problem and we need to change it for these women and change it for our children, change it for our daughters so they don't have to go through the experiences that we've gone through.
Do you
And it's
feel like this has opened up sort of this whole avenue of different songwriting for you where it's got to feel so freeing, but also difficult at the same time to get all these words on the paper and then put them out into the public?
well, the crazy thing is I've been writing a lot of these songs with women. And I wrote, What Are You Going to Tell Her with all women from Canada, excuse me. And it's all of our pain. And so it's actually been very, very easy to write about it because we all are so familiar with it. The writers that I've written with are some of the most amazing writers in Nashville and, in my personal opinion, in the world, yet they're still being oppressed and locked out of rooms to write with other men. And it's a problem for me.
And
And I
somebody
want
needs
to
to
make,
lead the charge in the change. And thank you as a dad to a 10.5-month-old daughter. Thank you
oh
for
my,
doing that.
oh, I'm fighting for your daughter because she is important and I want her to be protected and not have to go through the things that I went through. So I appreciate you for saying that and I won't ever stop.
Can you give us an example of one of the things you went through that you said, why is this happening just because I'm a woman?
Yes. So when I first released my song, Better Than You Left Me, and there was another ballad on the charts at the same time, and they chose to only play one ballad and not mine because two women couldn't be played back to back at the same time. And that was detrimental for me. And when people actively choose not to play women on radio, on country radio, that is our bread and butter. And when we can't have the bread and when we can't have the butter, how are we supposed to feed ourselves and how are we supposed to feed our families? And it was very, very frustrating and it caused a lot of heartache for me for a long time. And I don't want that to happen anymore. What if your daughter wants to become a country singer? That cannot happen anymore because she's important and she deserves the same opportunities.
Thank you so much for doing that. I think I got time for one more question. So tell me all about Black Like Me and why it's so important to have that song out right now.
Yes, so I wrote Black Like Me a year ago, and it was inspired by a book that I read back in college in African American history. It's written by a white man named John Howard Griffin, and he darkened his skin through radiation to look like a Black man and went to the Deep South to see what it was like to be Black in America. And the book is prolific, and it's something that changed my life. And when I had started writing for this new project, I had really set out to really write my truth. And when I was inspired by that title, Black Like Me, I wrote about my actual experiences as a Black woman in America, as a Black woman that sings country music in America. And it hasn't always been the easiest. And it just put it out like that. But it also represents so many other people that have felt marginalized, whether you are Black, whether you are white, whether you are of Mexican descent, whether you are in the LGBTQ community, that's what that song is for. And it's just been really, really beautiful to see the response.
Well, I have to say the first time I heard it, I got complete chills.
Thank you.
It really just broke me down. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for these songs that you continue to put out to fight for change, to tell other people that are fighting silently that they're not alone. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate your time. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye, Mickey.